Thank you very much, Randy, and we'll go right back to our phone callers. Next up is Colin, listening in Shiprock, New Mexico. Hi, Colin.
Hey, Hank. God bless you for your ministry, and has God spoken, and wanted to send it to your listeners. It's really a literary masterpiece. I appreciate how you use a lot of literary techniques that help me remember things. So I just wanted to tell everybody what a great book it is.
Thank you.
Wanted to ask you a question, though, about your chapter on abomination of desolation.
Uh-huh.
And you talk about Matthew 24:30,
Mm-hmm.
and then say that was fulfilled in AD 70. So my question to you would be about Matthew 24:31, where Jesus says that he will send his angels, and then also Matthew 25:31 to 33, where Jesus separates the sheep from the goats. I always interpreted that as being the second coming. Are you saying that was fulfilled in AD 70, or is there two things going on in that passage?
Not at all. I mean, obviously, in Matthew chapter 24, Jesus is answering the questions of his disciples. In context, he's left the temple. He's walking away, and his disciples have come up to him. They're calling his attention to its buildings. And Jesus says, do you see all these things? I tell you the truth, not one stone here will be left on another. Everyone will be thrown down. So later on, when Jesus is sitting on the Mount of Olives, the disciples come to him and ask him, when will this happen? What will be the sign of your coming and the end of the age? Now, obviously, they don't have in mind here the second coming of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is saying the temple is going to be destroyed. Jerusalem is going to be destroyed. He's prophesying that this is going to take place within a period of time. He says that it will take place within a generation. So he's talking about his coming in judgment, and he's using the language of the Old Testament prophets, applying that language to the destruction of Jerusalem. But certainly, as in all of the books of the Bible, Jesus also talks about the eternal state. So he is speaking in Matthew 25, in the passage that you reference, he's speaking about what is going to happen when the sheep and the goats are separated. So there's a sense in which there he is speaking about what's going to happen at the end of the age. And this is the same thing that happens in the expanded Olivet Discourse of John. John doesn't have an Olivet Discourse in his gospel, but Revelation is his expanded Olivet Discourse. And in that expanded Olivet Discourse, he not only talks about what is going to happen in terms of the great tribulation that befalls Jerusalem and the temple, but he's also talking about what's going to happen when the new Jerusalem comes down out of heaven, prepared as a bride, beautifully adorned for her husband. So he starts to talk about the full complement of God's people and their enjoyment of a new heaven and a new order of things in which there'll be no more death, mourning, crying, or pain. So what's going on is clouds are a common Old Testament symbol that point to God as the sovereign judge of the nations. Ezekiel said, the day of the Lord is near, a day of clouds, a time of doom for the nations. Joel said, the day of the Lord is coming, it is close at hand, a day of darkness and gloom, a day of clouds and blackness. And of course, if you are familiar with the Old Testament, there are a lot of other passages that are no doubt springing to your mind even as I speak, like when the Lord spoke about the judgment that was going to befall Egypt. See, the Lord rides a swift cloud and is coming to Egypt. The idols of Egypt tremble before him. The hearts of the Egyptians melt within them. So all of the prophets are using language, and that language now is employed by Jesus to warn his disciples of judgment. And so he used final consummation language to characterize a near future event. At that time, the sign of the Son of Man will appear in the sky, and all the nations the earth will mourn. They will see the Son of Man coming on clouds of the sky with power and great glory. This is not predicting his second coming. This is telling his disciples that those who witnessed Jerusalem's destruction would likewise see his vindication and exaltation as Israel's rightful king. So there is a sort of telescoping that's going on in the passage. Not only what is going to happen within a generation, but what happens within a generation portends a final day of judgment, a final day of the Lord when God puts all things right. But when the disciples ask Jesus about the end of the age, they're obviously not asking him about the end of the world or the cosmos. They're asking Jesus about the end of the current corrupt age, and in the context of his chilling prediction that the temple and its buildings are going to be destroyed. This comes up within that context.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Hank.
You got it. You know, I've written about this in a little more detail in a book called The Apocalypse Code. So I lay all of this out there with respect to exegeting Matthew chapter 24.
I'll have to check it out. Thank you very much.
You got it.